Alright guys, I saw this IGN article, found out about this on Twitter from TheWalkingDead.com. The first one, the Suicide Pact. In issue 15 of the comic book, Tyrese and his daughter Julie and her boyfriend Chris, they took refuge at the prison. Chris and Julie had a suicide pact where they would make love and then kill themselves so they could be in that moment together forever. Now on the suicide pact, seeing as I like when they do pull from the source material, I feel like they had already touched on that with Beth. If you guys remember in season 2 of The Walking Dead, Beth wanted to kill herself. She didn't do it, but to me the suicide pact was already kind of touched on twice. If you don't remember, the black chick stayed at CDC to kill herself, and Andrea too was going to end her life at the CDC, and Dale convinced her otherwise. So it's like they touched on the suicide in season 1 and season 2. Episode 28 of The Walking Dead, Rick loses his hand to the governor. Now, this I feel really strongly on. I mean very strongly on. One, it was okay for the comic, even though Robert Kirkman said it was too soon, and it very much limited his character and what he can do. For me, it's a good look, but it took a while to get used to it. When Rick loses his hand in a comic book, right about now it's the bandaged look, and then he just now got a little hook hand. And I feel that they have already done it in season 1 with Merle Dixon, and later in season 3 where Merle has the sword knife thing on the end of his hand. So I feel like they already touched on it, but for me it feels like such a powerful governor story that I don't want to see it done at all. Besides the fact that in the comic book, like Robert Kirkman said, it limited the character. I think for TV, it's just unnecessary. For the comic book, it was a real big shock value moment, and it was great, and it was daring, and it showed you that nobody is safe, not even the main character. However, I don't think it works for the show. We already get that, you know what I mean? And it was such a governor storyline. He cuts off his hand, and he feeds it to his niece, Penny. Brilliant. Battling the Hunters. Now, essentially, in the comic book, the Hunters, they watch Andrea pee, they snatch Dale. When he wakes up, they're eating his legs, and they slowly go through it, you know what I mean? So it's pretty graphic, and it's pretty shocking. And then Dale laughs like a madman. Dale says, "You're eating tainted meat. Why do you think I was alone? I was already bit." They start freaking out, spitting out the meat, and Chris, the leader of the Hunters, decides, let's throw him on the lawn, freak out the survivors who are hiding out in the church. Now, in the TV show, I feel like that's already being addressed. I'm not sure if it's the termites or not. However, I do feel like there is a connection there. And I do believe that they will pull from the source material and make that scene where they throw Dale on the lawn, except for it will have to be another character since Dale is dead on the TV show. Because we already saw in the trailer Rick outside the church at nighttime screaming "go," and then he's shooting his gun, and it looks like we could see Glenn or Maggie running back into the house. Now, if you guys want to check out, I have a pretty long 20-some minute video, but I've gotten a lot of really good positive comments on it, and I break the trailer down second to minute to second, and I took me like 15 hours. So if you want to check that out, I'll put a link below here. Anyway, like I was saying, maybe Terminus or the Hunters, but for sure they will do it, and I want to see them do it so bad because it's such a critical plot point, because Rick changes. So I think we are getting into the Hunter story, and I'm very much excited for it. It is going to be intense and probably bloody as hell and gory. So yes, I do want to see that personally, but I want to see it done the right way. Eugene's lies exposed in Walking Dead number 67. I forget the details, but I know time had passed by, maybe a few months. Rick wanted to use the radio, and Eugene said, no, let's save the battery. They got in an argument, and Rick knocks the walkie-talkie on the ground. It pops open and there's no batteries. So, long story short, Eugene was lying the whole time. He's not strong, so he can't protect himself like Abraham. And this very much so has to be in the TV show. Without even seeing it yet, it has to be. Because they already announced that Eugene knows what happened, knows how to cure it, and needs to get to Washington. They would not set that up to give us a payoff later. In screenwriting, they have a setup. It's something that you show the audience. And the payoff comes later when you bring back that item or that plot or that situation that you set up and you expose it for what it really is. And that's called the payoff. So I believe strongly we will get this payoff. Does it have something to do with Abraham crying on his knees in the trailer? It very well might be. The end of Karl's innocence. The loss of Karl's innocence was in fact when he gutted Ben for killing Billy. I understand that IGN, I get why they would put it in there, because when Karl wakes up, he's different. He's a little hardened, his memory's a little shot, he doesn't remember his mom is dead, things like this. And I do believe they will put this in the show because it's such a great element to the character. It's such great tragedy to happen to the character, because he doesn't just survive his wound, he is marked for life. Disgusting creature, you know what I mean? So not only does he feel like a monster for the things that he has done in this universe, but he looks like the same monster that he feels like. So yeah, I want to see this in the TV show really bad. Negan's debut. Now, it's a very powerful and world-changing story device for The Walking Dead, the Negan character. And he changes the world of The Walking Dead. Rick underestimated Negan and his power and the size of his men. They catch Rick and a couple of his survivors on the way to the hilltop. And he does an eeny, meeny, miny, mo to pick whether or not he's going to kill one of them. Rick, Michonne, Karl, Maggie, Glenn. And he does a really creative yes or no. And what I like about the writing that Robert Kirkman did very well is he said no to every character. He didn't want to kill them. Negan didn't. But he had to prove his point. So he gave a reason not to kill Rick. You know, it's like a fourth wall moment without it being the fourth wall. Telling us why they can't kill the character based similarly on how they are in the comic book. Like, Rick, I can't kill him, he is the leader. You know what I'm saying? Michonne, I can't kill you, you are a black female, that would be racist. I can't kill Glenn because you're the only Asian. You know what I'm saying? Like, they do things like that. So Negan says no to all of them, and then sadly he picks Glenn. And why I think this is necessary and cannot be changed for the TV show, because it's not just a small bit from the source material. This is huge. Glenn saved Rick in the comic and the show from the very, very beginning. Glenn is innocence, he's youth, you know what I'm saying? He is reckless abandon, he is love, you know what I'm saying? He is positive. He has a positive vibe. He's energetic. He falls in love with Maggie. Glenn is a great person in the universe. Negan beats him to death with the baseball bat. Viciously, violently. I mean, to the point where his head splits open, and he does it in front of Rick, Maggie, and Glenn's even calling out for Maggie, and it's just horrible. Now, that's why I feel it needs to be in the story, because Negan is a very likable character. You need to like him at the same time. If he kills some random character, it's easy to forgive him. And as much as I love Negan's character, I would love nothing more than for Maggie to be the one to be handed Negan's bat, and for Negan to be put on his knees and be beat to death the same way Glenn would. Imagine the power in that story. Redeem the death of the one she loved by beating the man who killed him with the very instrument, not only to kill her husband, Glenn, but to kill the man who worships that same instrument. Because Negan names his bat Lucille. You know, that's his baby, that's his girlfriend, that's his whatever. For him to die in that manner, and for that person to kill him, explosive storytelling, you know. But we'll just have to wait and see. But I do love that idea. So I want to keep Glenn around for Negan to kill him, unfortunately. I'm sorry, but oh man, that's just powerful. And for TV, I bet you on TV, man, it'll be too hard for people to watch. And keep the gore. You gotta keep it disgusting, because the act itself must be shown as vile. It has to turn your stomach so you can build such hate and demise for this character. You know what I mean? Just pure hate this guy, but make him likable. But you hate him so much for Glenn, no matter how much you like him, you want him dead. All out war. After the Glenn incident, Rick tries to kill Negan, once or twice. It fails. He gives in. Everyone's mad at him, especially Andrea. They don't understand. At the last moment, Rick, he puts all his strategies together, and they come together for a war. And I hope we see this in due time on The Walking Dead. And I hope All Out War takes place in its own season. Imagine an entire season of the war. How powerful would that be? I know some people might say, no, that's dragging it out. Let's do a couple episodes. If you do it the right way, you build up that longing tension of demise, that Negan can destroy everything we've got. Don't do it in a way where build up to the war and then the war happens in 1 or 2 episodes. No. I would like it to span an entire episode. Will it ever stop? Like, man, this has been going on forever, because one season feels like a long time. One season of an all-out war, just wow. And then maybe for the TV show, if at this point, 10 or 11 seasons in, I feel like they might just change it. You guys know how I feel. I want Andrew Lincoln to just keep going with it. They might actually kill Rick in All Out War on the TV show, if All Out War doesn't come till, issue 11 or 12. Which is really upsetting, because after All Out War, it's refreshing. I mean, I really love, and I don't think Robert Kirkman got enough credit for what he did. Not only does the look of the characters change, the main ones, the environment changes. Not only the environment, but the cover of the comic itself. I'm going to do a Let's Talk About All Out War, the comic book anyway. That's coming up, so we'll go in depth on that. But yeah, I would love for you guys to comment down below. Tell me, how do you feel about these 7 moments in The Walking Dead, and do you want them on the TV show? I don't care how long your comment is, let me know. I'm done talking, it's your turn.